we are, turn 4. Not a lot has happened. Everyone's expanded successfully. No failed expansions this turn.
I think one awake bounced, but got away safely.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so Kalem bounced. So Kalem, I know we talked up the Ahura last.
We talked a lot about how good the Titans are, and I stand by what I said. The wolf tribes can be real trouble for gods without high prot because they have 2 attacks, and when you're surrounded, that's like a lot of attacks per turn.
So we're gonna have to take a bet on this because I bet that's not actually what's happening. I bet what's occurring here is this god is getting pin cushioned. I would say wolf tribe. Wolf tribe are very scary against gods that rely on awe for defense. I know this god has a lot of invulnerability, but it's a lot of archers. So we will have to see what actually went down here.
Yeah, let's watch that.
Oh, that's actually a lot of water elementals.
Yeah, sadly they run in and all die.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's find out.
I mean, those water elementals would be a lot more effective.
Oh, if they were... this is it. It was the berserker.
I called it.
It's the berserker. No, that's all these guys are. These guys have 8 morale. They're not hitting shit. It's literally this guy did all the damage. Like you had because so hilarious. You always have to attack the person in front of you. So this guy has got 29 damage greatsword. And
he's slapped. Yeah, and they're tearing his defense down with all those attacks, and the one barbarian he's leading from the front.
Yeah, that's incredible.
What a legend.
I want to watch that again. And it just got completely unlucky because it looked like how did that guy get his berserker proc?
Maybe an arrow hit him.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Maybe you were right after all the archers.
Morale. So he's got 13 morale. So it's still a lot of damage, but
okay, he's going in.
See, I don't know. Yeah,
so hit him.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on there. But yeah, so you see nothing. Boom. 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 Yeah.
You are right.
So that was that I've never seen that. I have never actually seen that before.
That's a funny combo. Yeah. I wonder if multi attacks plus some 2-handed berserkers could work.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think anti-thugging chaff plus a guy comes on the side. That is the classic thug killer. If you can get anyone to come out on the side, you abuse that mechanic. So at least the god survived. So it will be back to come another day. But what that means is Kalem has lost their lead. Now with a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4 provinces, Uruk takes the lead in terms of number of provinces.
It's a strong god and strong unit.
Yep, strong god, strong unit. Uruk. Very cheeky expand. Look at this.
Ooh.
Uruk is going for that circular expansion.
You can't cut off.
Yeah, with a flying god, what you really want to do is he may hit here, for example. He may hit here. So if he hits here and here, well, suddenly he's just guaranteed all this land.
Yeah.
You do sometimes piss your neighbors off, but when your neighbors are Pythium, early game,
you don't care.
Huge deal.
Yeah, Pythium does not want to fight Uruk troops in a troop v troop war.
Well, that's pretty much everything that happened on this turn. Everyone else basically did their standard expand. So let's start looking at a few more gods. I think we will start with the god of Urmor. So Urmor here has got their standard 3 provinces. Let's bring up their god and talk about it. So Urmor has got God of Ghostbox. We've got Astral 3, Death 10, Blood 8, or 10 Undying, and Blood Vengeance.
This is a god that really knows what it wants to do. Undying and Blood Vengeance is an amazing combo for Urmor, because they have those sort of cavalry sacreds, right? 6 HP, free spawn knights. And they can be, their weakness, of course, is that they're so fragile. And, one stray banish could take them out. But if you stack HP on them, they'll sort of be a large HP target. And like all other spells, Banish will sort of preferentially target higher HP options, so they will get picked out and sniped instead of the Long Dead if you give them HP. So the way around that is to use Undying. And you also get sort of double the value of Undying on Undead Nation because they get the full 2 points of value and you don't have to worry about them dropping dead after the battle. So even early on, that Undying is going to do a lot of work. And presumably get some sweet, scaling death summons with God 2 Link. The Blood Vengeance is a also a really strong option combined with the Undying. It really is an answer to priests thinking they can sit there and banish away all those undead. Because what will happen is they'll have to go through not 6 HP, but 26 HP, and every time they hit it, they'll sort of take damage. They'll have to make an MR check or take damage themselves. This might have been a decision based on sort of the number of strong banished nations in this game. Help me out here, but like Pythium springs to mind. Uruk has good priests.
Yeah, Uruk and Pythium are the two kings of banish. Like nobody out banishes them. But man, another holy. They have their nature communions with priests in them. So we've got 1, 2, 3 holy communion nations right on Ermor's doorstep. Yeah, they know what they're doing.
This wouldn't sort of. It's a little bit. The power is a little bit backloaded, of course, because you've got an imprisoned god with an incarnate bless. With Blood Vengeance, it's a little more okay. Cause it only starts to matter later on in the game, and so I think I kind of like this god. It's a targeted answer to the other.
Yeah, so I would say it's an interesting god. I think there are a couple holes in it. One, Banish comes out turn 0. While Blood Vengeance is often very useful late game, with Banish, you have to deal with that immediately. So if someone wants to roll up with their Banished Communion, you're just gone. And another thing is, this god has 3 astral. I assume that is built into the god. I'm not familiar with his specific DE god, but has not gone for the 4th astral, which would have given him 3 points of MR.
Yeah, it's hard to drop that sort of luck 3, magic 3 combo, but it might have been worth it to get those extra points of MR.
Or lose a point of Undying, because...
Yeah, I would have lost a point
seriously, of Undying. Uruk can walk up to Ermor's cap and take it. Once they've got like 20 or so holy mages, Ermor will still have nothing. They'll have a... if you 2v1 them, man, Ermor, easy peasy. I would say
Ermor will have to do some Diplo. Those interesting as Ermor.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Ermor is going to Diplo out there. But if they make it to the late game, very strong bless once Blood Vengeance kicks in. This is the god that Aryu's relying on. This is a somewhat interesting god, because this god has pretty good scales. Neutral heat, which is interesting. Decent order production. Misfortune 1, growth 3, magic 3. So clearly they're looking to get a lot of troops out early with order. So in Dominions Enhanced, Aryu is a turmoil recruit nation, so they have a lot of... all their Furbolg units actually get cheaper when you have turmoil. Now, the problem is they're also high recruitment points. I think a recent patch did change this a little bit, but they have the same problem that EA Pangea has, which is that they want to recruit a whole bunch of high recruitment point units, but they also want turmoil, which reduces your recruitment points considerably. So instead, you just kind of go for order. I think this is fair. I went order on my first game of Aryu. The weird thing is, here is what bless we've gone for, right? So we've gone for a pretty sizable bless, right? Aryu could have, if they wanted to, just gone for a full scales build. But instead, they took a reasonably broad bless. This bless, however, is entirely defensive. So you've got fire resistance, shock resistance, defense skill, cold resistance, poison resistance. Only 4 Dominion points. So they're not getting a lot of these secrets. Additionally, the Aryu Sacreds are 35 gold human HP units that have 10 protection. So fire resistance, shock resistance, cold resistance, all great. Problem is, your opponent brings arrows, your opponent brings troops with attack skill, you're gonna have a problem. Aryu has interesting sacreds in that they have the ability to both repel and have high defense, which is not something that's common. These guys actually have a length 3 spear and shield, so you do have that ability to have that stacking defense, but that would require attack skill. Which is something they're not taking care of. Also, damage is going to be limited here, so they've got 1 strength. Again, they're humans with spears, not even golden spears. So in EA, they get golden spears, but in MA, they lose those golden spears. I'm not exactly sure what this bless is for. I would say maybe for thugs. Aryu has pretty good thugs. You can use the Sid Lords. They get regen, and they can also instant speed move. You can make some pretty decent items, especially with the high level of magic diversity that Aryu gets in DE, incorporating death and earth to their already existing air, water, nature paths.
Yeah, I'll just echo what you said about sort of the folly of the full rainbow bless on a nation where the troops are not particularly resilient to begin with. It's one thing if you put that on like a Yes Sacred that not many troops can even stand next to, but there are just a lot of ways to kill air use sacreds by just beating them to death with like above average. So I mean, I think you're right. This is geared toward thugs, and it is a decent thug bless.
Yep.
The one thing that sort of worries me here is, strength of the earth, great bless on the units, not really effective at all on a thug compared to like 2D. So I'm a little confused.
Yeah, it's weird. You're right, because if the premise is that this is a thug bless, you'd expect double reinvigoration,
right?
Which you don't have. Very
and
odd.
If it were a troop bless, you would expect like dropping some of the fire, like instead of fire resistance, you'd have like attack.
Yeah, so Airyu expands very well with attack because of their ability to. You'd expect attack, you'd expect damage, you'd expect maybe HP. You expect blood surge, though blood surge would be good on thugs too, right? Maybe it's the maybe they're going for darkness rush. So they have their sacreds actually have low light vision. So with another low light vision, that gets them full dark vision. So maybe they're going for some sort of, if it's dark out, if I cast a darkness every battle with the death mages that I now have, you can't hit me anyway. You can only kill me with spells, which I have now negated, and I'm gonna walk all over you. That'd be pretty fun.
I mean, that's a great reason to take like a death and awake for you, but I don't know how they'd be casting darkness with a prison god without it.
No, they can get death 3 recruitable in D.
Oh really? Early enough to.
Oh yeah, big right out the gate.
Oh okay.
Yep, and you can alteration rush on a nature air nation, so it's not even particularly outside the realm of possibilities.
Maybe we'll see that. Then.
Maybe we'll see that. So the Nation of Ind again done a pretty decent expansion. They're expanding using their sacreds. Ind is a very strange nation. Ind is one of the newest nations in the game. For example, all of the troops they recruit out of their capital, I believe, are sacreds, and they can recruit more of them than other nations can, which are hard locked to their dominion points. Right, so here we've got Ind's god. Here is a god, again, like Urmor's god, which is doing exactly one thing and trying to do it very well. So you've got plus 10 strength total on this god, in addition to magic resist and magic weapons. So they want to hit everything really hard, and they do not want you to use pesky ethereality or invulnerability to stop them.
Yeah, I think it's very good at what it does, right? If you want your melee, humans to kill things, this god will make that happen. And I think that's a very good way to make human type sacreds relevant, rather than sort of an elemental resist bless or something. Ind has accepted that if people hit their sacreds hard, they're going to die. No bless can prevent that. But if they throw up any sort of screening chaff front in like a player battle, these people will just hit like tanks, right? They're hitting for 26 damage.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's harder than Uruk, I believe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a barbarian with a great sword, but on troops with actual like defense. Like 14 defense is good.
And protection.
Yeah, decent protection. This is the stats of a like a Airyu sacred, but these things actually hit things.
So a lot of the time on Ind, you see people going thunder weapons, and that's a build more focused on the sacred archers. It's one of the few nations, maybe the best nation, sort of a sacred archer thunder weapon stunning build. The problem is that that's arguably like a better effect than the strength is, but there's sort of two downsides. One is that even a little bit of shock resist will shut that down pretty hard, and two, which is the real problem, you're in the awkward position of how do I get thunder weapons on without ruining my scales? Because even in DE, there's no great sort of chassis for an awake thunder weapons build, and dormant means you're quite weak early on expanding. Imprison means you're not seeing it until it's too late.
The thing about thunder weapons is, and I think you touched on it, is that you could just take 10 strength, and 10 strength is kind of like 10 AN damage on hit, right?
Yeah,
like it's not quite as good because you can
can't resist strength,
right? But I would say it's not quite as good because if you're hitting for 15, they have 20 armor, you still have to get past that. But it's strength is good.
The stun is the big thing.
The stun is the big thing. Yeah. I think I like this bless definitely, especially with the magic weapons. The magic weapons takes away one of the big counters, which is throw fire elementals at them.
I think it does. It's a good build. It's a little bit redundant with some of the, what do they call the dog-headed troops, like are also pretty high strength. I think some of them berserk. The God Reaver is 15 strength berserker for getting an extra 6 damage off a broadsword.
So. Yeah, but they are 28 gold, and they have a very poor defense, and they can only be recruited in mountains. While the soldier priests are sacred, cost 15 gold, and have better stats.
And you can fit more of them.
They're also auto blessed, which is fun. So you don't even need priests because every soldier a priest. Actually, can you? I need you to send me the Tartary gods so that I can put it on screen.